Hey, autoimmune warriors, welcome to the Stronger Than Autoimmune podcast. I am so fired up for you to be here. If you're navigating life with an autoimmune condition, you're in the right place. I am your host, Des, and I am not just a podcaster. I am right here in the trenches with you as a fellow autoimmune warrior. We're diving into real, uplifting stories and some seriously smart expert tips and simple lifestyle tweaks that can make a difference in how we feel day to day. Now, I've got to give a huge shout out to my amazing listeners. You're the heartbeat of this podcast, and I'm so grateful for you tuning in. If you're loving the vibes, here is how you can keep the love flowing. Drop a rating on Spotify, share a quick review on Apple, or pass this episode along to a warrior buddy who can use a boost of hope. Here are some organizations that are killing it for our community. Workers with Autoimmune AilmentsAlliance. These folks are fighting the good fight for students and workers like us with autoimmune conditions. Want to get involved or learn more? Swing by WAAA.org. They'll love to have you. Leap Cure. They're all about hooking up patients with cutting edge clinical trials and putting our voices front and center. Check them out at leapcure.com. Adapt Naturals by Chris Kresser. They offer nutrient-packed supplements based on science. Snag 20% off your first order with my code DEZ, D-E-Z, at adaptnaturals.com. From my heart to yours, I'm sending you nothing but love and good vibes. Let's dive in together. Welcome to the Stronger Than Autoimmune podcast. I have here Dr. Ebru, a lead immunologist with over 25 years of research, has pioneered discoveries on estrogen's role in immunity, inflammation, and aging. In 2020, she founded AveSeena, the first skincare brand targeting sensitive skin and inflammaging, blending science with wellness, featured in InStyle, Glamour, and more. She's a trusted voice in immune health and longevity. So thank you so much, Doctor, for joining me on the Stronger Than Autoimmune podcast.
Thank you, Desiree, for having me. I'm truly excited to be here and dive into very important topics today and how our bodies and skin function and inflammation today.
Yeah. It's been a very important topic, and it seems like you started this skincare line just in time when everything was how to take care of your immune system and what's really going on because of that favorite C word we all don't want to talk about. Because it's a growing trend, everybody sees inflammation as bad, but it's not all bad. So what is the role of inflammation and what are the different types of inflammation?
Okay, that's a good place to start. So unfortunately, we always have a bad guy and a good guy because it simplifies things, right? So inflammation has gotten a really bad reputation lately, but it's actually one of the most important essential tools our body has. In simple terms, inflammation is your immune system's natural response to injury, infection, or irritation. Think like cuts or microbes, viruses, and it is your body's built-in emergency response system. So it's also how your immune system says, okay, something is off, I need to fix this. So when something goes wrong, you scraped your knee, you got a cold with a virus, your immune system recognizes it immediately as a danger, or an invader. And then it sends out its army of immune cells, basic action movie. Let's put it that way. So immune cells, chemical signals, repair factors all go to the area. So this area may become red, swollen, warm, and tender, but that's your inflammation taking care of all the bugs or the scrapes, anything, any damage that's there. So that is your body's actively working to heal and protect, to fix the problem, fight off the threads, and begin the healing so it cleans out. So without the inflammation, we wouldn't survive even the simplest injuries or infections. I mean, we would definitely not survive the Middle Ages and the plague. So inflammation is your protection, is your body's first responder. And without it, we'd be in trouble. So now we know about this more, like especially COVID was an interesting time, let's say COVID times. So before that, people didn't know how important this was. But with the COVID, people started understanding the immune system and what it does and how it saves us from dying, basically. So the question is, do we need inflammation? And we absolutely do. So let's make this clear. Inflammation is not bad, because without inflammation, we cannot heal from injuries, we cannot fight the infections. But it's like, imagine you don't have internal alert system and you die. That's basically it, you know? So, but inflammation is vital for survival, but when it's only working in the balanced way, and it needs to be temporary. So as you said, how many kinds of inflammation are there? We're going to come to that. So inflammation serves a very important role, we said, right? But it should be short bursts, like your body's own superhero. Shows up, there's a danger, keyword is temporary. The superhero team, your immune cells come in, save the day, and they're supposed to go home after the healing. So this is short-lived and has a purpose, and it's beneficial. And this is what we call acute inflammation, and we're going to go more into that. So when this happens fast, does the job, then quiets down, you're fine. But the problem is when inflammation overstays its welcome, let's call it. So when it shifts from being helpful to harmful, and this is where we call the chronic inflammation and inflammaging. So the body remains in a constant state of inflammation, and now that's a problem. So let's go into the types of inflammation. And if you remember the Clint Eastwood movie, I'm just going to say the good, the bad, and the ugly, and which we're going to go into now. So let's start with the good, the acute inflammation, temporary. And let's simplify things. So it's like acute inflammation is like you burnt your toast and you're calling 911 and your firefighters come in, your immune cells, they rush in, handle the situation, leave, everything is safe. The redness, the swelling, the pain are part of the process. But it is to remove all that's not wanted and start the healing process. It's fast, efficient, and temporary. These are the main keywords for the acute inflammation. So, I mean, these firefighters, they come in, clean up, maybe bring you a pastry to cheer up, and then no drama, just support, right? So this type of inflammation is your short-term targeted and necessary inflammation. And that's the good. So let's move on to the bad, the chronic inflammation. So it is like you got the firefighters, but they don't want to go. They want to stay. They are organizing your furniture. They're eating through your pantry. They're using they're driving you nuts. They were helpful at first, but now they're overstaying their welcome and causing damage. So they're low-key stressing you out. They're putting too much pressure on your immune system because it's working at the same time and you're stressed out. So it's like a circle, you know. So when the chronic inflammation becomes an unwanted presence, it disrupts the normal function, it starts damaging the tissues, and it doesn't give your immune system a break. It can work against it. That's the bad. Okay, so the chronic inflammation is driven by constant low-level activation of pro-inflammatory cytokines like interleukin-6, tumor necrosis factor alpha, C-reactive proteins, interferon gamma, mostly inflammatory cytokines, which also activate the inflammatory pathway even more. So when these molecules, these cytokines and molecules are overproduced, They contribute to more tissue damage, collagen breakdown, acceleration of aging, both internally and externally. So now when it comes to the autoimmune diseases, one may ask, so you have acute and you have chronic. Which one is the dominant player? In this case, the chronic inflammation is the dominant player because it's constantly there. So in autoimmune conditions, the immune system gets kind of its wires crossed. It's not acting as it's supposed to. Instead of turning off after dealing with a threat, it stays on. And what is worse, it starts attacking your own tissues, your own cells, your own proteins, and your body's defense system can mistake its own cells and organs for invaders. This is the general concept. So it creates this persistent inflammation that damages the tissues over time. So in autoimmune diseases, immune system loses its ability to differentiate between what's its own tissue and the foreign invaders. That's another bad thing, right? So the result is constant and misguided attack on the healthy cells. And the healthy cells can't protect themselves. They're just out for the taking, right? So the elevated levels of, for example, interleukin 1 beta, IL-6, TNF alpha, interferon gamma, these are very common markers in autoimmune disorders. And I'm generalizing here. Of course, each autoimmune disease has its own course, but in the general sense, this is it. So in this chronic inflammatory state, it contributes to the tissue destruction, pain, systemic dysfunction. It could be joints, skin, thyroid, or other organs, depending on the specific autoimmune condition. For example, rheumatoid arthritis, which is a predominantly estrogen-regulated autoimmune disease like lupus and Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So in this case, in the rheumatoid arthritis, the chronic inflammation targets the joints. It thinks the joints are its enemy and goes after it, which is crazy, but it happens. Lupus, it can attack the skin, kidneys, and more. So this persistent inflammatory activity, it is what leads to the long-term damage and the flare-ups that unfortunately autoimmune patients have to endure. And what is the root cause? I mean, there is so many causes add up to it. So there is a genetic predisposition. There's hormonal influences. Now the research shows us estrogen is one of the factors. Environmental triggers, stress. Oh my God, stress. And then it causes dysregulated autoimmune responses that causes to this chronic self-sustaining inflammatory loop. It's a brutal loop. So yeah.
I love the analogy you gave because it really gives a visualization of what's going on in our bodies, of this inflammation in firefighters. So you really broke it down easily. And knowing that, because everybody was wondering, or it's been asked, why do women have more autoimmune diseases? Is it because of the estrogen?
Estrogen is a contributing factor, of course. There's the genetic predisposition, of course. But, let's go into it a little bit deeper. So this is a topic that's close to my heart and my research because that is my expertise and where I did my PhD on. So unfortunately, 80% of the autoimmune diseases happen in women, unfortunately. And there's several reasons why, as you said. One of them is hormones. So estrogen has been shown to modulate immune activity, especially inflammatory responses. And there is a very logical explanation to that. So how nature designed us is this. So we help the genetic information to pass through other generations. So we're basically the information carriers. And, without women, everybody would be not here right now, but women are very important. So with that said, women's immune system has to be stronger than males. Has to be. Because they carry the information, and then how is this information transferred to the next generation with the baby, with the fetus, and then also with training and everything. So Women are actually superheroes in my eyes, especially the ones that have 5 kids. Oh my God, they're complete superheroes. So while this helps the women to fight infections better and be stronger and multitask everything, even when they're dying of flu, which I do the same thing, uh, it also makes their immune system more prone to overreacting and misfiring because it's so strong. It says, oops, and you're my cell. Maybe I should attack you. Something like that. So the hormonal fluctuations during, periods, menstruation, and pregnancy can lead to differential autoimmune outcomes. So interestingly enough, I want to state here. So let's say a person has autoimmune disease, lupus or MS, and this person gets pregnant. What estrogen does is it goes so high, the levels go so high to protect the body not to attack to the fetus and think it's a foreign object and prevent miscarriage. However, that increase in the estrogen, it turns the immune responses the other way and it becomes anti-inflammatory, more Th2, more B cell related. So the whole thing is just amazing how immune system is designed, because when you are pregnant, the nature says, okay, I have to design you in a way that I will protect your baby. And yes, you have an autoimmune disease, but I'm going to increase the estrogen so much, it's going to shut that pathway down or decrease it. So that's another superhero thing about the
It's,
female. So
that's
that's the
amazing.
hormone part. And then there's the genetics and the epigenetics part. So since the woman's immune system is more fine tuned, but this precision, as we said, can backfire, leading to hyperactivity. And there's the X chromosome can carry various immune related genes, and women have 2 copies. So that increases the complexity and the susceptibility to certain diseases. So, as we said, they have stronger immune system because of this, and because it protects the women and the offspring. And there's the environmental exposure. Today, women are exposed to more personal products, household chemicals, cosmetics. I mean, they are increasingly exposed to other immune disrupting or triggering chemicals because they're in the kitchen, they're cleaning, they're cooking. It never ends.
Doing it all.
Oh yeah, we do it all. So, and there's the chronic stress and the lifestyle. So women often juggle multiple roles and responsibility if they're working, and then if they have a kid and they have a household. So it adds up. This chronic stress induces more inflammation, which we're going to talk about, inflammaging. And it could push already sensitive immune system towards a dysfunction. So it's an addition of all these things. I
It's
wish
like
it
a
was one.
layered process.
Oh yeah. So I wish it was one thing so we can go after it, but it's a lifestyle. The lifestyle affects you. So if you're staying late, you have to work late, you have shifts, you don't have time to sleep and regenerate, you're not going to be repair your body. And if you have an autoimmune history, your immune system is trying to repair that's what's going on. On top of it, you have an autoimmune history coming up, it's going to start attacking you. When are you going to take a breather? That's the problem.
Wow. You made it sound so simple, but obviously this if it was that simple, this problem wouldn't be a problem.
Exactly.
So, you said that we can go this route as far as chronic inflammation and autoimmune diseases and discoveries, if you want to talk about, and how that weaves into immune health and aging. So I guess it kind of weaves into what you were talking about, the
Yeah.
inflammaging.
Let's talk about the inflammaging. So we talked about the good and the bad, but there's the ugly. Yeah. So let's talk about the ugly. So inflammaging is a new term. It came out around 2018 by a group led by Franceschi. And this is the term where to describe chronic low-grade, micrograde inflammation that accumulates as we age or based on some lifestyle choices, like if you're too stressed. So this is silent. It's at the background. It's subtle, but it has massive effects on your health, and it mirrors out. You will see it. And I'm going to touch base on that one too. So let's say when your immune system stays activated without a reason, and not without a reason meaning a big culprit like a bacteria or something, let's say with stress, right? And it's quietly working in the background, like you left your car and it's working and working and working and it's humming in the background. It starts to cause damage instead of repair. So you have your acute inflammation that goes up and down and heals and goes away. Chronic, it's always there, up there, but inflammaging is down here. It's silent, it's quiet, but it is there. So in the immune system, inflammaging keeps all the immune cells at a constant state of alert. So they're like waiting for a battle that never quite ends or quite starts. Okay? They're like in the limbo. So over time, this exhausts the immune system and it reduces its ability or its power to defend against actual threats. So it's not like something you feel an injury, it's happening silently in your body and sometimes reflecting on your skin. And we're going to talk about that in the meantime. So, but what does it do? So we can also classify this as a chronic inflammation, but different than the regular chronic inflammation. This is more subtle. It's the silent enemy. It's there, but it's lower. Like it's very sneaky, this one. So it causes cellular damage in time, collagen degradation, weakened tissue regeneration. And this is your ugly because it's there. It's silent. It's there. It's like sitting there. So,
It's the ninja in the corner.
oh, yeah. So, what does that mean in response to inflammatory pathways, at a cellular and a molecular level? So we said the immune system becomes overactive and overworked, and it increases the risk of autoimmune diseases, even cardiovascular diseases, because it's reducing its body's ability to fight infections. Like, because your car is always working, you can't sprint that fast, maybe, you know? So again, pro-inflammatory cytokines like IL-6, TNF-alpha, interferon gamma, those also become elevated in inflammaging, but not as elevated as chronic inflammation. But it's still there working. So when we look at the inflammaging, what does it do? We said tissue damage, cellular damage, but it also causes increased levels of oxidative stress, DNA damage as well. None of them are good. None of them. So if you start seeing changes on your skin with inflammation, this could be dullness, premature aging, all of a sudden you're experiencing sensitive skin, all of a sudden you're experiencing breakouts. This is more a reflection of what is going inside, reflecting outside. So usually people with inflammaging also can experience more sensitive skin, redness, slower healing, fatigue, lots of fatigue. Some people can experience brain fog. It's a various range of symptoms. And we say, oh, I'm stressed. Oh, I didn't sleep. Oh, I didn't do this. But it all adds up. So it's not all about, yes, it happens by aging, but it happens with the life choices. And during that time, as we're working quietly in the background, which is not fun. That's the ugly. So we have the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh, yeah. And it seems like we are living in an age where that is like almost the norm. And especially like we were talking about, women constantly have stress, and that seems like it contributes to the inflammaging. So, how do you manage or help this inflammaging, or reduce it in a way that can not be, no, not everybody can go to a sauna every day or a spa. So, what are some ways that you've seen with your research that are actually practical?
Well, I love this question because it's simple daily habits can be more powerful than we think. And unfortunately, there are people and companies outside saying that, oh, you can get rid of inflammation. Let's make that clear. You cannot get rid of inflammation. You don't want to get rid of inflammation because you will die. You love your acute inflammation. You want to keep that one. So, but manipulating it, regulating it, making it work in your advantage rather than working against you. Now that is our goal here, right? So it's going to sound cheesy, but it works. These work. So one of the things is meditative breathing or deep breathing. So we don't do this a lot, but just taking 5 minutes and going into a corner and breathing slowly, counting, breathing. And the brain is interesting. When you are counting and breathing, you can't focus on something else. Okay? So that helps. So just 5 minutes of sit in your corner, look in the corner, ignore everybody, breathe for 5 minutes, slow. Take in, take out. Take in, take out. So this helps to reduce the cortisol, the stress hormone. We want to reduce the level than going crazy or a fight or flight response. And by reducing the cortisol, you're going to reduce your blood pressure, your heart rate is going to decrease, your brain is going to calm down, because cortisol is like, when it's too high, it doesn't know if you're fighting or running away, right? So it's going to it's going to stimulate your monkey brain, monkey chatter, saying, you need to run, you need to do this. No, you want to take that down a notch because you are in control, okay? Not the monkey brain. So by doing this, you can lower this systemic chronic inflammation in time. So that's one. Another one is gentle movement. Unfortunately, me included, we've been sitting in front of the computer, writing and working, unfortunately, and we're not moving as much because this body has been designed to move, not to sit all day. And unfortunately, some of us can't do this. However, there is serious damage, like danger related to this if we sit all day. So a little bit stretching, like cats do. I love cats. They do that perfectly. If you could do a 5-minute yoga, a tiny bit walking around your desk, and if you have more time, walk around the block, and even, I don't know, put heavy metal and bang your head and dance. Stretch it out. So that also helps regulate the nervous system and decrease the amount of cortisol that's being produced. And it increases other hormones like happiness hormones and adrenaline. Adrenaline is not bad, by the way. It's good if you know how to use it, and promote the lymphatic circulation. That also helps to regenerate the immune system, because if your circulation is working, you're walking, that's perfect. Sleep. Sleep is medicine. Okay? Because when you sleep, when you sleep deeply, you go into the REM cycles, and that's when your body starts repairing both the inflammation, your skin, and whatever needs to be repaired. So as we get older, unfortunately, we can't sleep as deep. So that's the problem.
Is that estrogen based, or losing estrogen, or?
I mean, as you go into menopause, as estrogen decreases, of course, it comes with hot flashes and all that jazz, which is so much fun. But I'm being cynical. But also, it affects your sleeping. Like when you are a baby or when you're young, remember how deep you slept? Because you have growth hormones. Because when you go into the REM cycle, the deeper you go, the more growth hormone you produce. It's easier to repair all the damage. But as you get older, it's nature's cynical joke. It says, oh, you reproduced and you're getting old, so you're fine. You can You
You
don't
don't
have
need
to sleep
sleep.
for. No, that doesn't work. I want to sleep. So also the foods. Foods make a huge difference. So, what they say, you're what you eat. That is true. So moving away from processed foods, processed fats, if you like Mediterranean diet, more olive oil, more veggies, more fruits, fish, leafy greens, salads, lots of without the salad dressing, please, and omega-rich foods like salmon, good salmon, flaxseed. Those also help. So it's also an additive thing, But the major culprit is how you can stop the stress. It's going to be hard, but it's doable.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for all those tips. Yeah. And we
You're
could
welcome.
do something about it. So we all have, because I know you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but even men, when they get older, I guess it's hormones, period, because men have a hard time sleeping also as they get older. So it seems like it's more of like a aging process.
It is. It is very much so. So men go through andropause. How women go menopause, men go through andropause. Uh, Their testosterone decreases. So the body is used to a certain, like in females, a certain amount of estrogen versus testosterone, where in the males, a certain amount of testosterone with a smaller amount of estrogen. So when you take down the testosterone, I mean, is the estrogen going up? Maybe, or staying the same, but the body is not used to this. It was used to, like, for the last 60 years, I had high testosterone. Where's my testosterone? So they go through changes as well. And for men, it's sometimes harder because they don't go through the hormonal fluctuations like females do, women do every month. We're used to it. Like, you're happy, you're sad, you get a bucket of ice cream and sit off in front of the TV during that period of time. But for males, they're like, what happened now? What is going on with me? So there is really a wellness aspect to this. And it is okay to talk about this. It is okay to go to someone and talk about this, like a wellness coach, a health coach. You need a reflector. You need a mirror sometimes because you can say, I can do everything. Like, sometimes you can't, and it's okay. You can't, you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you brought this up and you wanted to talk about it because, I mean, we love the men in our life. We all have some male friend, either father figure, or father or grandfather, and they're the opposite. We need that in our life, and I really want to address. I mean, that they go through their own things. Also, we need to help our men talk about it
Oh, yeah.
and find help. So thank you. And you're with over 25 years of research, what are you most proud of with this autoimmunity to that you learned, that you enjoyed, that something that can help listeners, that bring more insight?
Sure. I mean, when I started my PhD, and when we started this research, how estrogen impacts the immune system, what's the role in autoimmunity, that kind of thing, the big professor said, oh no, it's estrogen. It's not going to impact the immune system. I'm like, have you seen a woman during the period? If that estrogen impacts their brain and I feel like crap and crying all over the place, of course it's going to affect my immune system. And we started working on this, and I'm really proud of, I'm one of the first labs to show this, that it really affects, and it affects at a transcription factor level, at a cytokine level, and the whole Th1 and Th2 and Th17 pathway, all the T cell pathway. And it's beautiful. Immune system is just amazing. I mean, it fascinates me every time I look at it because it always have a backup mechanism. Always have a backup mechanism, because if this cytokine doesn't work and it's not there or something happens, another cytokine picks and tries to fill up that gap. It is designed, it's your private army. It's your SWAT team. I love it, So moving all that, like my personal struggles during PhD, boy, was I stressed. Oh my God. I worked 17 hours a day. I literally slept in the lab during the experiments and all that. That takes a toll on you, and on your skin. So I was breaking out everywhere. And at one point, and I was a student, you don't have a lot of money, but I saved money. I got one of those big brand skincare lines, and I used it. And my husband said, "Your face looks gray." Literally gray. And I'm looking at, why do I look different color? Seriously, it changed my skin color. And I called my mom. She's a pathologist and she is retired now. So I was like, "Mom, I have the gray skin." And she was like, "Okay, we're gonna call this and this." And she called one of her dermatologist friends, and we're on Skype. And he's like, "What did you do?" I was like, "Stop using that crap." Oh my God. And I stopped it. It took me a month to get back to my real color. I don't know what happened, but it made me think. And back then, parabens was the biggest thing. And parabens are estrogenic. And what it means is a xenoestrogen. So what it does is it can mimic estrogen and bind to the receptors, like the alpha and the beta receptors of estrogen, and can stimulate the same pathway. So everybody back then, 90s, 2000s, everybody was using parabens, which made sense because it gives better shelf life, and there's so many bad bacteria, you don't want it in your products, and it's easier to preserve. But on another environmental aspect, it accumulates in the sewage water. It doesn't get degraded. And we published on it.
Mm.
And it can accumulate in your fat tissue. So if you're obese, you can accumulate more. And interestingly enough, the fat tissue also can produce estrogen. So if you're autoimmune, that fat and estrogen and other estrogenic products, and paraben is not the only one. There is also other bisphenol A and other products like genistein. Those also can be found in the environment. So you have to be careful if you're autoimmune. So those made me think, okay, so if I can experience this on my skin when I'm stressed and I turn gray, what's the next step? I'm going to become purple? What's going on? And it made me think there is a huge immune component to this. And that's how I started reading into it, researching it more on the side, like how does the immune system contribute to the skin? Because when you look at your skin, people think that it's a physical barrier. It's not. It is
Pores.
open. It is porous. It feels the heat. It feels the cold. It feels the threat. You can even feel an energy if you're getting bad vibes from a neighbor. You can feel everything. You're just like, oh, this is not vibing with me. But you feel everything. Okay? So it's an open organ. You're an open system. You feel everything. It's just a barrier you can see. That's all. That's all. But at the end of the day, when you think it that way, it is your barrier in a way, and it's your biggest immune system. It's your biggest immune organ. It covers everywhere. So that makes it critical to understand what you put on your skin, when you put it, how you put it, which ingredient did you use, all that. So that's how I started getting into this research in our brand.
It's amazing. Congratulations. And we need more women really investigating more women. I mean, for the longest time, as you know, during our periods, we were considered having hysteria, you know? Um, but you said something that made me think, since people that have autoimmune disease, I mean, or with or without autoimmune disease, these toxins accumulate in our fat. So if you're trying to lose weight and have autoimmune disease because you're trying to reduce your inflammation and you have these toxins in your fat, will you all of a sudden start to get more sick? I
No,
mean,
not
no. Okay.
necessarily. So the body is an amazing machine. It's amazing. So it will do everything to regulate and protect you silently. By the time you see it on your skin or your ear hurts, that means it couldn't handle it anymore. It's asking you for help. Every symptom you see is your body saying, you need to help me. I can't handle this anymore. There's this going on. Can you please help me? You want to live, right? So basically, that's that. So those toxins in the fat, they're not there forever. Your body also has that circulation system. So if you're losing weight, which is amazing, great, and then you are also changing your lifestyle and trying to stay away from those, body will eventually get rid of those. It doesn't stay there. Like even your skin, the younger, for example, lower than 20, 30 years old, every 4 weeks, the top layer of your skin regenerates. As you get older, it goes up to 6 weeks. But it happens because that's what it does. Okay.
So you've done all this work and research, and you've talked about your skin. So I think it's an excellent segue to talk about your company.
So, as I said, I was turning gray.
So strange.
It was gray. I mean, it was weird, so weird. But at the same time, my dad was going through some cancer treatments. And during that time, because I got pissed at this company, huge billion-dollar company. And I got really mad because as a student, I get all this money and I get a gray skin. And you know what? My symptoms are not getting better. So I was like, you know what?
Double whammy.
I can figure this out. So I started reading, doing experiments and trying to figure out what is going on, which ingredient. And I realized there's so many ingredients that I don't need in those. And they put it there because it makes it cheaper somehow. And in the 80s and the 90s and the beginning of 2000s, everybody focused on one hero ingredient, which meant maybe it was less than 1%, 0.5%, which means nothing. So you're basically putting just a regular cream on your face and it felt soft because by putting a cream, you're putting a barrier. Transepidermal water loss is decreasing. So when you remove it, I was like, hi, I'm soft, but it's not the thing. So I started doing these experiments, and mind you, I'm getting really bad acne, so I'm trying to control that as well. So I figured it out. I'm using my cream, my toner, my stuff, and I stopped, buying stuff. And then I went back home, and my dad finished his treatments, very heavy chemo and radiotherapy, and his doctor said, use Eucerin if your skin feels dry. And it was okay, but he was like, get me some Eucerin, I'm out. So I got him some Eucerin. He puts it on and he breaks out in hives. Oh my, he's a transplant surgeon, by the way. He was a transplant surgeon. He passed away 4 years ago.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. So he's yelling at me, and boy, surgeons are hard, and they're amazing, but they're hard asses, and I love them. And the perfections. He's like, you got me the wrong thing. And I'm looking at the ingredients, absolutely the same thing. But the thing is, when you buy an ingredient in bulk, you don't have to check the security sometimes, the purity, because it's so big. And something can happen. So the ingredient listing can be the same, but we don't know what's happening in the back, right? So he's pissed at me, and I'm like, can I give you my cream? Can you put it on? And she was like, and he was like, bring it out. It was like, you should just put a little bit. There's this in it, and oats and aloe vera and vitamin B3 and the niacinamide and all that. So because I made it for myself, and I figured, he's red and he's pissed. How much more angry he's. So he put it on. I went to my room and I'm like watching a CD on my laptop, and he's like, Ebru, come here. I was like, oh my God, I am in trouble. So I go into his room and he shows me his arm. He's like, what did you do? It's all gone. I'm like, so you're happy? You're happy? What did you
Closer.
do? It started with, what did you do? And I didn't see his arm. I was like, I'm in deep trouble. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you get. It doesn't matter. Your dad is pissed at you. You better find a place to run. But I want to know what you did. I want to know how you did it. And then I started explaining to him. And although he was a transplant surgeon, he was deeply embedded in the science, because we would talk about estrogen and how some transplant patients, especially females, is harder to transplant because they have a stronger immune system. So they have to use some immune suppressants. And we would talk until morning. I mean, it was beautiful. And I explained to him, it's like, I did this because I got pissed. And he knew the great thing. He was like, I don't know why you do that. And I was like, I didn't do it. But he said, then you're doing something good here. Keep it on, kid. And
Aww.
okay. And he was like, but you continue doing science. I'm like, yeah. But he was happy about that. That's how we started AveSeena. And actually, he found the name. So
I was just about to say, has to be a story behind.
So I was trying to come up with a name, but I wanted to be positive. I wanted to be, about wellness, because if you're not positive, what's the point of doing all this, right? So he said, let's do this. And he loved Latin, by the way. So he said Ave, which is the salutation, and Sena, that comes from the Rumi philosophy, which means from the heart. The center of the heart. So you say salutations from the heart and for the whole wellness. So I was like, okay, that jives. I'm okay with that. So that's how we started. And it's been a long road. It's been a tough road because we started during COVID. Like, we had the work before, but actively coming out with the packaging and everything. We started at COVID. COVID hit, and every other indie brand out there got hit. So being an indie brand is a very interesting thing because you can implement the science faster. You can get the cutting edge information and knowledge and implement it in a new product faster than a freight train like big brands, So that's the beauty of the indie brands. And indie brands like us, AveSeena, we produce in small batches. So you're getting the freshest stuff. You're getting the cutting edge science. And we follow European Council cosmetic regulation rules because they have one of the strictest cosmetic regulation rules in the world. So you have to have your microbial testing, your challenge testing, your dermatologist testing. You need to know all that. So it's a whole package. And you know what? I don't believe in using 10 different products to solve 2 problems. That's why I don't have the time. That's one. And on an immunological point of view, and as everybody experienced during COVID, the more you touch your face, the more your face is gonna get irritated. I mean, everybody remembers the mask, and you put it here, you take it out, all acne. I mean, because it's irritated. So it's like poking something, and somebody's gonna slap you if you poke 5 times. So imagine doing 10 different things like the Korean 10-step skincare regime. I tried that. I broke out the next day. It wasn't fun. It took me hours to fix that. But that's the thing. The beauty of AveSeena is you have multifunctional products with multifunctional, multi-targeting various challenges. I don't like to call them problems. They're challenges. And that works because I use it. My mom uses it. I mean, we can't put out something that's not working, But you never know. There's a lot of products out there that doesn't work.
Yeah. And it sounds like you have created a product that works. Since this is an autoimmune podcast, I mean, you've got eczema, you got psoriasis,
Mhm.
dry skin, Sjogren's. What product would you recommend for? I mean, I know they're all different. I mean, maybe they're not, but in your eyes, what product do you think you should use?
First of all, everybody's different. I'm going to note that. Second of all, if you have, this is for every product, any product out there. Read the ingredients, okay? Get a tester if you want. Never buy the whole thing. And as a brand owner, I'm saying this, which is shooting myself in the foot. Get the tester, try it a little bit so you don't have to invest. And if you like it, then go for the full stuff. I mean, I believe in honesty. I believe in transparency. Everybody's money is precious. Everybody's skin is precious. Everybody's health is important. So this is a health-oriented aspect of things. So I love the Ageless Perfection Cream. You can use a little bit. You can use during the day. You can use at night. I love our oil, the green caviar facial oil elixir. That's squalane based, 90%. So squalane is in everybody's sebum, the face oil. So as you get older, you lose that. So that's great. But then again, everybody's experience is going to be different. So test it, try it. If you like it, awesome. And if you don't like it, I'm not taking personal. It's another challenge for me to solve, and I love it. You know, the people come and ask me all the time. It's like, this works or this doesn't work. This brand doesn't work, and I know which brands work, which they don't work, and why they don't work. You know, so that's it.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. And it says a lot about you. For you, you're like, I'm shooting myself in my foot because you should try just a little bit and see if it works for you. And that says a lot about your integrity and your love for people and trying to it's not just about money. It's
No,
about
it's
helping other people feel better.
yeah. I mean, especially we try to also post it on social media. You know, we post about the products, but if you look at our messaging, at the end, we always try to give these affirmations. I mean, skincare is not only self-care. It is more than that. It is the time you tell the world, screw you, you're going to wait for 5 minutes. I'm going to put on my cream and this is my time. And even like your baby is crying, 5 minutes. I need 5 minutes. That is your time. And you deserve that time. So every message we try to give that out. It's about the wellness. It's about you. It's about your mental health. I mean, you need a break. You deserve a break. The world is tough enough anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like we talked about, women are superheroes, constantly doing multitasking and that stress. So if you have a few minutes for yourself, put on your cream and enjoy it.
Yeah. And especially women with kids and autoimmunity, they have my heart. I mean, my heart goes out to them. They are the real heroes. That's a lot of stuff to deal with. And they don't need more stress. They don't need more crap. I'm going to say this. For life, they deserve their break, their 5 minute break. They deserve it more than anybody else.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to share?
Keep it up. Stay hopeful. Stay positive because everything changes and everything gets better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Guess who I just connected with, warriors? Leap Cure. Leap what? Leap Cure. Leap Cure connects patients with clinical trials to make research more equitable and efficient. Listen to their latest clinical trial.
If you've been diagnosed with thyroid eye disease and are seeking potential new treatment options, you might be interested in the LIDS clinical trial. If you're 18 and over, have a diagnosis of Graves' disease or Hashimoto's, and are interested in potentially participating in research, you can fill out a short questionnaire at lpcur.com/TED. You'll be connected with someone on the team to determine whether it might be a good fit for you. Check your eligibility and learn more at lpcur.com/TED.